Welcome to BH Business Spotlight, where business stories come to life. Hosted by Kaylee Brokenshire and Alex Brown. A show that dives into the people behind the businesses, the resilience, the ambition, and the mindset it takes to build success from the ground up. And today, we're talking entrepreneurship, leadership, and what it really means to build a business while helping others grow at the same time. Our guest is Megan Johnstone, an entrepreneur who has built a successful commercial cleaning business while also stepping into the world of mentoring and personal development. If you're interested in business, leadership, personal growth, and the realities of building something meaningful, you're going to love this episode. Please welcome Megan Johnstone. Yes, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the BH Business Spotlight podcast. And today we have the incredible Meg from Pro Clean Commercials. Thank you for coming on.
No worries, thank you for asking me.
Mate, we're literally going to dive straight in. Can you tell us about who you are and a little bit about your business, and then we'll go from there?
Yep, so my name is Megan. I'm 24 and I'm from Bournemouth. My company is Pro Clean Commercial, so we offer cleaning services, sort of specialising in commercial. We do also do a range of things, so domestic to sort of more specialist, even like biohazard cleaning. So yeah, anything that needs doing, we can do it.
And when did your business start?
So 5 years ago now.
Wow, so you were only 19?
Yeah, quite young. And I think for a lot of cleaning business owners, they actually fall into cleaning industry because they kind of start it because they need a little bit of extra money. It's very easy to start up, low costs and things like that. So I actually fell into it. I was doing a policing degree at university. Ever since I was, a child, I always wanted to join the police, and I was really set on that. A lot of other people were like, I don't know what I want to do. And I was really smug about it. So when I kind of finished my A-levels, they changed it. So you had to have a degree to get in. I think it only lasted for a year or so till they changed it again. So I went to university to do a professional policing degree, and I was travelling like an hour away, commuting, and I lived in this flat because I really didn't want to live in the dorms. So I had to find money quick to be able to afford to live, and I moved out at 17, so I was very used to having my own space. I loved cleaning and making my home my own. So yeah, that was my story. I went there and I kind of started my own little cleaning thing, did a few business cards, didn't take it seriously. It really was like a side hustle. And it just grew really quickly. I think back then, social media was great. I was posting in like community groups, and the algorithm was just amazing. I was getting so much outreach and so much work, to the point basically where I was taking on staff quite quickly. It seemed a shame to kind of give up the business to carry on with my degree. So I got into the third year, kind of sacked it off. And yeah, I was a bit gutted because I spent all that money on the student loan. I thought, I've just wasted it. And I did actually get a diploma in the end, but I'm so thankful that I did carry on with that journey. My dad's actually in the police, so I can kind of see the way the laws sort of changed around the employment and things like that. And I know that it wouldn't have been for me. I think self-employment is right for me, and I'm very happy doing it kind of my own way.
I imagine though that's your journey has taught you a lot in business as well. So even though you didn't see that qualification through at uni, I'm sure it's been a big part of how you then grow a business and run a business, because it's not, obviously we'll get onto it, it's not just cleaning, is it? There's so much more involved with running a business yourself, which I'm sure a bit of uni work and education's helped along the way as well.
Yeah, I think it's like the perseverance. Obviously uni's tough, like the assignments and the deadlines, and I think you have that in business as well when you're trying to meet certain people's requirements and get paperwork done and stuff like that. It taught me a lot, and I think the independence of going and making that decision to go by myself and spending the money, it was like a big responsibility, and you kind of have the same in business, don't you? There's so much pressure, and you have so many hats trying to do different things, and I think uni is kind of the same as that. So it was a good starting point to get me to where I am, and I wouldn't be here if I didn't do that.
So in terms of that, if you think about that kind of first like few months, was there a moment where you were like, this could be a thing, this, in terms of actually this could be a business, as opposed to just the side hustle or earning the money for obviously the flat?
Do you know what? For a long time it wasn't like that, and as I said, I was so young. It was more just like go to work, make money, spend it. There wasn't any kind of business model
strategy,
or plan. And I do look back on that and think, oh, I wish I invested back in my business and made more sensible decisions. But that's what you do when you're young.
But you are still so young even now.
Yeah,
so
exactly. So I learned a lot along the way. But I got nice things out of it. For the first time in my life, I kind of had made a bit of money, and it was nice. I'd worked in hospitality before, and I was a student. So and I didn't really come from much in my family either. So it was really nice to like have the things I wanted, go on holidays, and I would work hard, play hard, and it was nice for a while until I did get a little bit older and start taking it seriously.
That's the thing, like you say, at that time, depending on where you've come from as well, it just gives you that little bit of freedom.
Yeah.
And I think actually when you're at that age, it's like, okay, I could just do this more. Do you know what I mean? And actually, as long as it fits, you get to play hard as well and kind of reap the rewards of what you've kind of built. What was the time where you almost then were like, okay, I need to hire that kind of first person?
I'll be honest, it didn't take long. I think I was so busy, and what I realised from being self-employed is you're kind of limited to how much you can do and what you can make when you're a sole trader doing it on your own. So I actually started off hiring friends, like family members, and it was quite nice that way because we would work as a team. I could, give them the jobs that suited them, and we worked quite nicely together. So it started off that way, and I must admit when I was first hiring, people that I really didn't know what I was doing. I don't think I had kind of empathy as such. I kind of thought, why aren't they doing it how I do it? Realistically, no one's going to care as much as you do. And I think maybe wasn't the best at handling people because it's hard, isn't it? Managing people and kind of expectations and things like that. So it took me a few years to get to grips on that because they don't teach you that at uni when you're doing a policing degree.
I think that's on the job learning, that is for sure.
But I think that's it. It's just like as well because obviously they're representing you, right? So there's an element of actually giving away a little bit of your business to a degree for them to almost handle it.
Yeah.
But especially with that type of role, there's only one of you, right? Do you know what I mean? When it's a hands-on service, your day is capped and you reach a ceiling pretty quick. Yeah. So the only way to grow is almost either up prices or higher.
But are your cleaners self-employed or are they employed?
So at the moment they're self-employed. It kind of just works best with the structure that we've got at the moment. But I think, there are benefits to both. It kind of depends where your business is at. I think soon we will be getting to the point where we've got a lot more contracts and it will be easier to go employed. But it's a really good starting point for businesses that don't know how to take people on and do it. I think it's quite overwhelming having employed staff when you're just thrown into that.
Well, it's overwhelming having self-employed and employed staff, I think, running a business like yours anyway, with all of the admin that comes with people's absences and dealing with that. Yeah. And obviously you've scaled from just being on yourself to how many cleaners do you have?
I think we've got 10 at the moment. We've just taken on someone new, so 10.
Right, that's cool. So when do you think there was the switch into, you talked about when you were at uni or that you would work hard, play hard. Has there been a switch or a pivotal moment that you've then changed your mindset with business?
Yeah, I'll be honest, it was quite personal. When I was younger, I was going out drinking a lot. It was, work hard, play hard, like partying. And I just got to the point where I kind of matured a little bit and I was actually really struggling with alcohol. I found that it was kind of like a stress getting away from the stress at the weekend. I just found it so overwhelming and a lot of pressure for one person on their own to deal with people. So the weekend just became my escape from the stress of it. Emotionally, I've really struggled to handle kind of the implications of running a business and things that I kind of wasn't prepared for or dealt with before. So I kind of got to the point where I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I was really mentally low. Rehab was never an option for me because of the pressure of the business. There'd be no one to take that over and it would just collapse if I went away for that long. So I just got to a proper rock bottom and I just I ended up going to AA. I got some help and basically just stopped drinking. So that was definitely a shift for me where I took things a lot more seriously and I've kind of been given this new life where I was really grateful for everything I had so I could put way more time and energy into my business. But during that time, there was just so much personal stuff going on. I made a few mistakes in my business with finances, kind of where I didn't have an accountant set up and I ended up kind of losing a lot. I lost my house. So that kind of shift where I was like, I can't take this anymore, really took me to a place where I just took it a lot more seriously.
that's the thing. Like in terms of business, obviously, we are just kind of figuring it out, right? You know what I mean? And it's actually when you're only almost, without going over it, but it's almost when you're at the other side, you look back and be like, okay, that was almost the catalyst to X, Y, and Z. So in terms of like looking back now, is there anything from a personal perspective that you've kind of learned about yourself, like going through that moment and where you are now?
Yeah, I suppose it showed me how strong I am. That people said to me, but you were so functioning on the outside. The business was doing really well. But I guess we forget that the person behind the business is human, and we have stuff going on. So yeah, I suppose it showed me how strong I was to get through it, and just a lot of gratitude really that I had that to come back to, because a lot of people do lose their job, or maybe they never had something solid in the first place. So I was quite grateful that I had that to come back to, and I could just pick up from where I'd kind of left. Nothing in the business sort of fell apart as such, but I just wasn't at my full potential where I wanted to take it, and not the right mindset to kind of deal with problems. When something would come up, it was just too emotionally overwhelming, and I really couldn't cope.
Is there anything from how you run the business now? What's almost changed from that kind of from that point where you were running the business?
I think kind of a mindset of something's come up, deal with it now, not I'm going to start drinking at the weekend and then I'm going to be hungover till about Wednesday is when I'm actually going to feel normal again. I'll deal with it then. If something comes up at the weekend, I do it then, no matter what I'm doing. Just a proactive approach, and I think the mindset of knowing that the worst can happen, but there'll be someone else that's gone through that, and there will be a solution, and it doesn't mean that the whole business is going to collapse and you have to find another job.
Yeah, and that's it. And when it is all, there's an element, speak to any business owner, there's that element of pressure. Yeah. Sometimes, do you know what I mean? It's all on your shoulders. Like you make the decisions, and I think it's that's just the business side, not even taking into account if there's anything going on personally or anything like that. So I think it's only when you kind of sit in this moment that you look back and actually then you reflect on who you are as a person and what you've actually managed to come through almost.
Yeah, I mean, I'm coming up to 1 year sober in a couple of days, so I've been doing loads of reflecting this week, and I'm very guilty of not being grateful for what I've got that kind of entrepreneur mindset where I always want more, and I think I should be doing more. So this week's been really good for me actually to reflect and think I would not have achieved some of the stuff that we've achieved as a business if I didn't make that change.
I mean, that's really vulnerable of you to talk about that as well, and be open and honest about obviously that time, the struggles that you've experienced. I'm sure that has been the catalyst for changing the direction and having more capacity to, I think as business owners as well, if we're not at our best state, then the business can't be at its best, can it? And I think that really if we focus on ourselves, that is then when the business can be the best it can be.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I'm quite guilty as well of trying to do too much, and I generally work from home most of the time working on the business now. I've kind of stepped away and I've got a good team, and I can just be sat there in my to-do list. I'll make it so long to the point where it's just ridiculous and it's overwhelming, and then I don't even leave my desk for a lunch break because I feel like I can't. So I think to kind of step away and work on yourself, whether it's, I don't know, sometimes I do a little bit of journaling if it's all a bit too much, or just going for a walk in between kind of tasks. You can kind of step away and realise that, there is a way of kind of dealing with things proactively. And although it might just be you that's responsible, it's dealable.
Yeah, so it sounds like the pivotal moment for you in business has been actually focusing on you first, and then the business is growing as a result of that. Yeah,
because I think when you're burnt out, it's so hard to cope. You can dedicate so much time, but if you're not in the right headspace, it's not always work that's productive as such. It's just stress.
Just busy. Yeah. Do you have is there anyone in your kind of circle that's also runs a business as well, so you almost have that soundboard and clarity per se? Because like say, when you're running it on your own, you can sit in your head quite a lot, and also just having that person maybe in a completely different industry, but someone who gets it as well, do you have people that you can kind of speak to on that element of it?
I'll be honest, when I first started, I was quite young and I had a friend group where we were going out and drinking, and that felt quite isolating because I didn't know anyone who
and
had
they didn't get it because they weren't business owners
themselves. No, definitely not. And definitely, I suppose, as part of growing up and kind of the changes that I made in my life, I have way more people than other people who don't drink as well, which I find really, really helpful. A lot of them do have businesses. It's just so much easier to kind of offload and other people relate.
This is it, and it's just they understand it.
Yeah.
I think if anything, it gives us like a little bit of clarity that we're not just dealing with that. But like you said, we're not always. But other people have gone through the same sort of things as us.
Yeah.
But it's only when we have that courage almost to share it with other people, or with okay, cool. Actually, this isn't just me.
And I think as well, you kind of surround yourself with people who do well, you will do well. It's kind of like high frequency. I quite like to be around people who are positive and want to do well. And I find that when you do, you kind of opportunities come and things like that.
Yeah, it just gravitates.
Their energy, that's it. We pick up on it and relate to it. Yeah.
How have you found it? So if you you're not in you don't do any cleaning or anything at the moment, are you just kind of like the head of the business, running the business that way?
Mostly, yeah. If there is like a big job or a new client that we just want to make sure that I'm overseeing everything, I will do. I'm quite heavy on doing like audits and coming and just overseeing. I'm not sort of
the
like
quality side
just
of things,
to make sure everything's, because I think the clients do like it to be you. So when you then come away and they're a little bit disappointed, you still want to go and make sure the same standards being delivered. And I think it's good to personally interact with them as well. They see that you're on site and you're getting involved. I could sit in my office and just leave them to it. And there's bound, communication, different things. If you're not training someone new, there's bound to be issues, and you don't want to end up losing a client over that.
This is it, and it's a reputation thing as well, right? You know what I mean? I'm guessing a lot of your clients, they're like it's recurring almost. So ultimately, you want to make sure that the kind of like that job is done to the best standard you can do.
Yeah, and I think we're quite well known for that, and I know a lot of my clients on a personal level now. Purely because they've been with us for a long time. They, if someone calls in sick or they go on holiday, last resort, I will be there. They won't go without. And I think they quite like that.
Yeah. I think that's something I know we spoke about before we started recording, is the kind of personal brand side of things, and how important, we've had multiple conversations with people about the personal brand and actually how it's the forefront of everybody kind of building a business. Obviously, your business, you are very much the kind of face of it and building that brand. Has that always been the case? Obviously, since kind of, the last maybe year or so, or as you've already kind of made that switch?
First couple of years, no. I was on site kind of doing the cleans myself, and no one has time when you're cleaning full time with a service-based business to do the social media and all the extra stuff. So I was always quite good at taking photos of my work. I had a really good social media presence. And I think my age definitely helps with that. I kind of grew up with Instagram, and I always had like the filters on my feed. It all had to look a certain way in a certain colour. So that's definitely benefited me. And I really enjoyed doing photography at school as well. So I can see now how that's come into play. But the first couple of years I was absolutely terrified. I did not want to show my face. I've learned it's something that you really have to go outside your comfort zone, and I think growth does come from going out your comfort zone as much as you don't like it. I know that my business coach said to me that posting is better than perfect. That's her saying. So sometimes I do a video or something, I think that's rubbish, but something is better than nothing, and you're not going to get seen unless you try.
And in terms of, so if you look at that kind of personal brand, like since kind of really leaning into that, how was that from a personal perspective and a business perspective? What have you almost kind of noticed from like a growth side of things?
From a personal perspective, it actually gives me a bit of self-worth. I can be quite guilty of talking down to myself, talking negatively, and sometimes I just look over my posts and I think that's kind of like my portfolio there. It's quite nice to look back and see what I've achieved, and it motivates me to do more when I've got it on paper. From a business perspective, I think it looks really good for someone to see exactly what you have achieved, get that kind of personal feel from you, and that's kind of why I've led into coaching, sort of mentoring other cleaning business owners, because I've had a lot of people that relate to my story, the alcoholism addiction side of things. A lot of people relate to that, and they want to hear someone be honest and truthful, because people don't want to talk about those things. I think maybe you'd kind of look at me the way I am, my age, and not expect someone to sort of say that sort of thing. So it's nice to see someone for what they are and hear their story, I think.
It's definitely it will relate to a lot more of an audience, won't it, than just purely a sparkly office space or, something like that.
Yeah, I think people these days like truth, don't they?
They like real.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. I think that's what we're noticing. Like, so we speak to quite a lot of people, and especially in the world of AI and like it'd be very easy to put like an AI graphic on your
Yeah.
Instagram about cleaning and be like, cool, like I've shown up almost. But it is that personal side of it. What would you kind of say to someone if they've maybe, you know, they've got a story or there's that at the moment they're almost hiding behind the logo? What would almost be for you that next step that you'd almost advise someone to do to start creating a personal brand almost?
I'd say it's kind of it sounds simple, just get confidence. Like, it's not that easy, is it? But like I said, you've got to go outside your comfort zone, just do things you don't want to do. It might feel cringy for a little bit, but the more you do it, you know, you want people to go on their phone and think, I'm sick of seeing her face. That's what I think.
Literally.
To the point where it's just so normal.
Yeah.
And it, you know, it's benefited me a lot. We won an award recently, and I've got a huge contract inquiry come in simply from a post about us winning that award. Obviously it's amazing to win the award in the first place, but if I hadn't have taken photos at the event, and if we hadn't have been nominated, I wouldn't have had that opportunity. So yeah, I think just use things to your advantage. If we ever go out on a job, all the time I'm taking pictures, my staff are like, no, I don't want my face in it. I'm like, come on, you know how I do this. And it's massively helped me, and people get that angle from you, so it's a good way to kind of build a rapport, I think.
I think it's different as well, because like if I think about, you know, some people that I know, like especially in like the cleaning industry and stuff, like no one does it from a personal brand perspective. So do you think that's ultimately given you the kind of, not the leg up per se, because you've still had to do the work, but there's an element where actually people are attracted to that because it stands out from the people that are maybe doing the graphics and the logos and the before and after pictures of like a kitchen or something, which is obviously really important, but actually people then know you for you as opposed to the logo.
And your team of cleaners, so seeing them appear in the pictures as well is also nice to see that the team are approachable and look like normal humans.
I think it is a bit of a niche. There aren't many other people that are doing it, and I have met a lot of cleaning business owners who don't want to do that, you know. Some of them actually prefer doing the cleaning themselves, and they don't want to be seen, which, you know, is fair enough. I do enjoy doing the cleaning, but I want more, and I know, like we said earlier, you know, you're stuck there, there's only so many hours you can give.
You
know,
are
your
exchanging time for money that way, and that's it, you're limited, aren't you?
I've got too much of a what can we do next
Do you think for a lot of people, like you said, I think, because just what you said then, some definitely conversations I've had with people where actually they're just happy kind of on their own, you know what I mean? They've got enough work, they're just happy like that. Do you think in terms of that mindset, like you said, where they want more, do you think that's people's belief around actually could this be more? Or do you think it's more from a personal perspective? You know what I mean? Like entrepreneurs have got that thing in their head where they're like more, which can be a pro and can be a con. But do you think people have naturally got that? Or do you think people need to really see what's possible before they get that, if that makes sense?
I think it does come down to the person and kind of what they want. I mean, for me, my personal story where I moved out at quite a young age, I kind of saw what other people in my life at a young age had, and I wanted more for myself. I knew kind of the direction I wanted to go, and when I do something, I do it properly. I can remember even when I was younger, I used to do karate, and I remember my parents saying to me, you've got to do it till you're 18, keep doing it. But I hate it, I don't want to do it. And I'd get there and I'd give it my everything. And even when I worked in pubs and things like that, I've worked really, really hard, whether it was for someone else or myself. So I think it is in you from kind of a young age. But yeah, we've also got like hustle culture on Instagram and things like that, and it can be toxic, I think. It does help me in some ways. If I'm feeling a little bit demotivated, I can go on there and see little quotes and things like that, and I'm like, right, I'm in the right mindset. But if I start doing too much, it becomes obsessive. I feel like I've got to be the 1% of everything, I've got to be the best, and actually we're humans and we do have to have balance, and it's not healthy. More recently, I've tried to sort of pull away and look after myself a little bit more, because if I'm doing too much, I can't be the best person I can in my business, so that's important.
Ultimately, that's how your business is going to be sustainable, isn't it?
Exactly.
Is that if you can keep going, if you're burnt out, it's not, that state is not going to be sustainable.
Yeah.
Do you ever, I was going to say, do you ever kind of find it like when the social media thing, like say if you follow like business pages and stuff, it is always about 5 a.m. starts and do this and do that. Have you ever gone through a stage where you've almost like compared, not necessarily a cleaning business to a cleaning business, but your business and being like, oh, maybe we should do that, maybe we should do that, maybe we should do that? Or is it a case of actually, no, I'm like blinkers are on, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to build?
I think everyone does that to some respect. I've seen other cleaning companies that might have really good contracts with certain like housing associations or the council or someone big like that, a contract that will be hard to get. And you think, why have they got that? What am I doing differently? Sometimes it is just about who you know. I've learnt that recently, which is why I think networking and things like that is so good. Might be like someone in your family that works in a certain industry that knows someone. So yes, you've got to not compare too much, be happy with kind of what you're doing. And if you do feel a certain way, like you're not doing enough, then I think delve into it, see what you can change, what you're not doing.
Yeah.
But I think we're all guilty of doing that on personal and professional level.
100%.
Yeah, definitely. You are going in consulting other cleaning companies now. So how does that look? What's the offering there? How are you helping?
I think my story has really helped a lot of people, definitely from kind of a young age and making, I don't want to say the word mistakes because we all do it, but I had a lot of hiccups along the way, times where I just thought about giving up, but I didn't. And I'd never invested in any help at all. Like I said, I didn't have a business model or a plan. I was just winging it the whole way through. And I learned a lot of things the hard way, just kind of guessing my way through. Like I said, I didn't have an accountant, so why am I trying to do an accountant's job at 19 years old for no clue what I'm doing? I'm good at cleaning and running a business, but you're expected to do all these other things. So yeah, I've made a lot of mistakes along the way and got kind of burnt badly in a lot of ways. So I kind of use my experience to benefit other people and help them. I think it's all very well having qualifications and coaching and stuff like that, and I'm not dissing that at all, and I think it's something that I will do eventually when I'm sort of further down the line. But right now, my personal experience, the systems and things that I've got in place that work for me, I can quite easily help other people with that, and it's been going quite well. I think even before I sort of launched it, I was helping people and sending paragraphs to people of my own time because I genuinely do want to help, and I thought actually my time is quite valuable now. I need to kind of do something around this. And I think a lot of the personal posts that I was doing on my social media, it was quite heavy sometimes. I think it's good to have that perspective, but actually now I've got like a different social media account where it's more focused on that, and I kind of link them together, and I think people like to see a bit of both.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting.
I think that's it. Like you say, I think you've already walked the path. Do you know what I mean? Like you've done it. You've, like you say, made mistakes in inverted commas. You have the experience, and ultimately you can, we always say to people, when you're helping someone do what you've already done, you're basically just turning around and looking back, and you've already done it, and kind of making them go that way. In terms of the cleaning business, then, what's the kind of vision for that over the next kind of like 5 to 10 years?
I'll be honest, at the moment, it's actually the cleaning business that I'm more focused on than the mentoring. I think in the last year, I've got to a place where I'm really confident in it. I think the first few years was a bit guessing, trying different things. I feel like I'm pretty good at what I do now. When we get inquiries, most of the time we seem to get the contract. We've got really good relationships. I think where I'm trying to work on better balance on kind of both personal and professional level, I try not to have too many goals that are like, make this X amount and do this. I'm trying to keep it quite simple and actually quite happy with what I've got now. In the next 5 to 10 years, I think my kind of most recent goal was to get completely office-based, and I did that in about 6 months since I kind of, my circumstances changed personally, and I had to go back out and do a lot of the cleaning with moving and things like that. And yeah, that was my goal, just to get back into the office, and I achieved it quite quickly. So it's nice to have this time back and actually just do kind of the things that I didn't have time for before. So my goals aren't too wide. I think just carry on with what we're doing, onboard more work. Any opportunities like this, kind of like public speaking, is quite good as well for the mentoring. I've talked in schools, other podcasts, even prisons as well, kind of delivering motivational talks. So I've really enjoyed that side of it and helping other people and inspiring people. So I suppose it's kind of just whatever opportunities come my way at the moment. It's just staying where I'm at, not too much pressure.
But stepping out of your comfort zone, this is it where the growth happens, isn't it? Amazing. We're just briefly going back to the mentoring side, I know that we'll focus on the business as well, but from the coaching side, when is the best time for somebody to get involved with you for mentoring? Would it be right in the infancy, because these are all the mistakes that you made, which if you implemented them from the beginning might have made things scale quicker, or would you say?
I'll be honest, I think when people first start cleaning, it is usually because they don't have much money to start a business. So it's quite low cost to set up. I definitely wouldn't have considered paying for any kind of help like that. So I've got like a cleaning business blueprint manual, which is like a really low cost blueprint that just has everything you need to know as like a setup, because I didn't have anything like that. And it goes straight from, you know, branding, setting up insurance to, the bigger stuff when you want to scale, what type of clients to go for. So definitely, you know, there's things out there that can be low cost. It doesn't have to be one-to-one where you're expecting to pay over like £500 a month. But you don't want to be making those mistakes from the start. It's good
really
to
good
know.
idea.
Just speeds up the process though as well. Do you know what I mean? It's ultimately like, this is what I did. You can now do this without making the mistakes I did, basically. You know what I mean? And I think everybody, you know, speak about it quite a lot. Everybody wants something like quick, and they don't really want to, not the fear of failure per se, but ultimately if someone's given you a little bit of a runway and a little bit of a roadmap of ultimately what worked for them, I think, you know, it's the biggest thing to do, and accept that help as well. I think sometimes it's the hardest thing. I don't know if you find it where actually just asking people for help, actually, because you want to try and, especially I think with the entrepreneur mindset, you've got like, I'll figure it out on my own. I'll be able to do it on my own. You know, do you kind of find that actually it's taken people quite a long time to almost reach out and ask for help?
Yeah, definitely. And I know, like I said, with the mistakes that I made, I tried to do everything myself. And actually, even the other day, I was trying to design this leaflet thing. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm not a designer. It's taken me absolutely ages. And in the end, I just thought, I'll just use someone else's services. It just makes so much more sense. But we do want to do things ourselves. And I think there's so much pressure these days around keeping costs low as well on like a personal and financial level. But it does save you in the long run. I definitely recommend kind of doing it as soon as you can to get that direction and confidence as well. It's good to be confident with what you're doing and knowing that you've got that plan in place and you're doing kind of the right thing.
I think as well, even if that allows you to get your first couple of clients quicker, because that then gives you the confidence that actually this can be a thing, and you've got the evidence to do it as well. In terms of like the marketing side of things, I know when you spoke before, it was literally just like Facebook groups and stuff like that. Would you say that's ultimately, if anyone's kind of watching it, the best way to just get your name out there in the beginning is actually just, this is what I do, and just putting it in the community? I
think the algorithms change now. I find when I kind of even put job posts out there on Facebook and things like that, it's not what it used to be. But it's the best free resource, especially for if you're doing like domestic cleaning. There's so many people out there that want a cleaner. Some people just want someone who's like a sole trader, independent, quite casual. Some people want agencies. If it's like an Airbnb, they want reliability. So I'd say, that's one of the best ways. Networking as well, especially like free groups. Anyone can go to a networking event, and you know, all you have to do is hand out your card. People can follow you on Instagram, and they've got you there. And the more you're posting, they'll see you.
100%. And I think as well with this type of business, like we'll speak about networking quite a lot, but it's almost who they know. Do you know what I mean? You're not kind of going into a room of 20 and being like, could these all be a client? It's actually estate agents and things like that. Do you know what I mean? It's the knock-on effect that can naturally have for somebody as well.
I'll be honest, most of the networking I've done, I haven't had much work from the other people in the group, but I've definitely got some really good referrals from people who know people.
That's it.
I think Facebook's definitely the one for a lot of people in terms of the community, because like you said, it's free. And actually I think the biggest thing when you're kind of building a business is just the visibility and awareness.
And I think it depends what your kind of area is as well. Where we do a lot of commercial, LinkedIn has been really valuable for me. And I've got kind of connections of people who know people, and it's just really good. Like we've got some clients, for example, we've got a construction company, so not only do we do their office, but when they've got big like build projects, we go and do for them, and then they know people. So LinkedIn is a good one for the more, I suppose, corporate side of things, which is what we outreach.
So commercial cleaning is ultimately the bread and butter. You mentioned biohazard cleaning. Can you tell me a bit more about biohazard cleaning?
So it sounds like really like, what is that? But we trained in it last year. It's still fairly new, which is why we still kind of focus on the commercial. That's definitely our area that we're established in and I quite enjoy. But from the biohazard stuff, so it can be anything like after death clear-ups, trauma cleans, it could be like body decomposition, needle sweeps, hoarding as well, mental health cleans, fire restoration, and mold remediation as well. So it's kind of anything that's like harmful to life. And quite often it's sort of like sensitive areas. There might be a vulnerable person involved. We actually had one this morning for a housing association where there had to be sort of safeguarding in place. And someone from my team went out and did that and just transformed this whole, it was actually just a bathroom, but this person has much better living conditions. And I really like that from a personal level, being able to help. I think when I first started and was doing the domestic cleaning by myself, and you come every week and someone starts making their lunch on the table that you've just cleaned, and it just feels a little bit disrespectful sometimes. You don't feel like you're making a big impact. It's something people kind of just take for granted. Whereas with this type of work, especially coming from a recovery point of view with my journey, I love being able to help people that might have issues around drinking or family relationships, and it's just really nice to make a big impact. The kind of, not only the physical result is transformational, but the effect it has on the client. If you're working business to business as well, it might be with the council and things like that. It's just a really, really fulfilling role.
I love that. Like I say, I think that's the biggest thing sometimes. It's actually, you do a role or you build a business for X, but actually there has to be some fulfillment behind it. You know what I mean? Because then actually that's what you're doing it for. And it just reminds you why you built it and started it in the first place. I think I said to someone recently, I was telling them about it, and they just said to me, it sounds like you've really found your purpose in life. I thought, do you know what? I have, because I think for years when I was struggling with the stress of running a cleaning business, which is just chaotic sometimes. You've got loads of staff, loads of clients, people don't show up, you take someone on new for their first day and it's not what you thought, and all of this stuff. And I did get really demotivated for a long time, and definitely in the most recent years since I stopped drinking, really found my love for it, and I've remembered why I do what I do and helping people.
Oh, that's amazing to hear that.
I think if you go back as well, like if we look at like the kind of business owner side of things, so now running a team, what's the, I'm not going to ask what the pros and cons are. What have you learned from running a team is probably the best.
I think to be compassionate. I definitely, like I said earlier, I just almost viewed my staff as robots, which is not a good approach. I see things from the point of view as if when I first started and I was in that position, I have a lot more empathy towards them, and I do think it's a two-way thing. I definitely try not to have too much of a personal relationship with staff, because I did have that at the start. I very much treated them like they were my friends, and I do favours, and then you completely lose boundaries and respect, and it's much harder to kind of end the relationship when it goes that way. So I definitely learnt that, and like I said, where I had friends working for me, it was really hard to put in boundaries because I didn't want to lose the friendship, but I also had my way of doing things. So, I think structure is important when you take someone on, to have those expectations laid out straight away. I have a very zero tolerance policy. If someone messes me around, 2 strikes, you're out. I don't have time to be putting up with excuses that I've dealt with for years, and when they're coming, and when they're real or not. So I'll give people the benefit of the doubt if it's a genuine reason, but
it's your brand, it's your reputation, your business, that you can't afford to be letting customers down over and over again, can you?
Definitely not.
A team is one of those learning curves for a lot of people. You know what I mean? Because actually, there'll be multiple mistakes that are made and things that you've learned. If there's anyone kind of watching that's in the similar, it might not necessarily be cleaning, but it is that hands-on where they are the person that's doing it. So it gets to the point where they do need team. What would you kind of say they need to potentially look for, or almost set out at the beginning to make sure they're almost hiring the best?
I would say to be kind of relatable. So for example, when I do interviews, one of the first things I'll say is I'm not one of those companies where I have absolutely no involvement in the business. I've never cleaned before and I expect you to do this and you won't ever see me. I make it very clear that actually this is how we started. This is a bit of background. Any feedback comes from a really good place because I've been there and I've done it and I've learnt along the way. I would say to kind of, sometimes it is good to be picky with your staff, You don't want to take on people who don't look good for your business. If they're, dressing a certain way, they don't care about their appearance or the way they interact. Sometimes I'll notice if I do an interview, people kind of act like they don't want to speak to me, and it's really hard to get an answer out of them. That's not going to set a good impression. So there's no point trying to force something if they don't seem to sort of be that interested. And I would say kind of you want to give off the relationship that you have with your staff and the support that you give them is the same thing that you would equally give your clients, because the staff are just as important as the clients. Without the staff, you don't have the clients. So I would, my staff are really important to me. I make sure that everyone's happy with their kind of positions. Do you need more hours? Is it too much for you? I won't overload people. Cleaning is really hard, strenuous work. They might say that they need the hours, but actually is it going to affect the quality of work? So I'll move things around so it works for people and around their lives as well.
Do you reckon there's a correlation between staff you're bringing in and you obviously being the face in the personal brand and being quite heavy with that on social media? Do you feel you're almost attracting people that fit the brand more because of how front facing you are with it?
Yeah, I've never thought about it before, but yes, because I've had a lot of people who work for me now or who have applied, and they've said, I've been following your page. I really like the way that you kind of display or the way that you work your business. This sounds like a company I want to work for. Yeah. Which is really nice, because I think a lot of people would just take on cleaning as a side job just for money. It's all about getting in money. They don't care. So when I do get those people, it's really nice, and we do tend to work really well together.
So as well as showcasing yourself for clients, you're actually showcasing yourself as somewhere that people want to work for at the same time.
Which is really lovely.
That is lovely, and that is the whole package really, isn't it?
Yeah.
They got the buy-in straight away though, right? You know what I mean? They want that out of all of them, they've chosen to work for you because of that. I think that's huge, and I think, because just again from conversations with people that have got cleaning businesses, there are at that stage where they're like, do I hire? Do I just stay where I am? And actually you almost being that lighthouse per se, do you know what I mean? And being like, this is the one to work for because of A, B and C. Yeah. And it just creates that culture that they're represent, because like you said before, you want it done to a certain quality, so anyone you bring in, you want them to want to do it as high quality as you do, even though it's not their business per se.
Yeah, and I know people who have cleaning jobs who maybe don't drive or things like that, so they're not able to work for me because my staff drive. And I've heard kind of the way that the companies they work for interact with them and kind of the way that they run their businesses. And you don't want to judge, but I do question kind of how they operate, and their turnover in staff explains kind of the way that they handle. And like I said, I don't judge because I've been there and I haven't always handled things the way that I do now. But yeah, it definitely is a reflection, and people always say the way you treat your staff is a huge impact in your business, and they treat you the same back. So if someone's done an outstanding job, I will make sure that I give them a little bonus or like a gift voucher or something, so they feel appreciated, and then they're going to do the same again.
I think that's it. I think it's the appreciation. I can't remember who did the quote, but it's almost like if you look after your staff will look after your customers. And that's literally
that is the ideal formula, isn't it? Yeah. Because you need each other to make the business work. So that's great, I think. You mentioned that you have a coach yourself. Is there any piece of advice that has been really monumental in your journey and that's really changed the way you think about things or run your business?
I think just having a coach in general was just life-changing for me. I know that no matter what happens, I can go to someone who's more experienced than me and I will always get an answer and some help around it, whether it's kind of on an emotional level, strategical, or whatever it is. I think just having one in general is great. And the kind of arrangement that I've got with mine is I can contact her anytime. We have like 3 weekly calls a week where I can kind of hear other people's stories as well. So someone might bring something to the table that I haven't dealt with before, like I said, like a mistake or something. And I think, oh God, I'll make sure that I put that in place now so that doesn't happen to me.
Is this specifically to the cleaning industry or is this general? Okay.
It is specific, yes. So that's really good for me. I've been to a lot of sort of in-person training days, retreat type stuff. I don't think that you can ever invest that kind of money in that help and not get something from it. It's definitely the best change that I made, because when I was young, like I said, I spent every bit of money that came into my business account came straight out and went on me, whether it was holidays, clothes, whatever. These days, most of the money actually goes straight into other services. If we get a new contract or a big job, the first thing I'm thinking is, right, I can pay for that thing that's going to help my business, or I can get this new branding stuff that's going to look really good. and you always make that money back every single time. So
So their investments, it's return on investment rather than seeing it as a cost.
Definitely. And I suppose it's just goes, how serious are you about it? How much do you want to grow? It's kind of just thinking about where you're at and what your priorities are.
I think it's seeing the longevity in it as well. Do you know what I mean? Because like you say, I think some people find it it's like when they're building, it's almost they want to gatekeep everything they've got and actually let's just keep building. But you're never going to get to a number or an amount that you're like, okay, now I'll invest. You know, it's actually, okay, I can see the longevity in a machine or staff or whatever that is. Was that a moment where you're like, actually investing is really, really, like you said before, you kind of, obviously when you were younger it was anything came out kind of went out again. Was there a moment where actually did you almost make an investment and be like, cool, that's what investment needs to be like, and it gave you that thing to be like, okay, actually I do need to invest in the business? So in my first 6 months of starting, we landed a really big contract with a big commercial company. And it literally came from Facebook. We started they had like crew houses for their staff. We started doing those, and then it led into like 4 contracts doing a whole load of different things like warehouses, offices. So I got that kind of success quite quickly, and I thought actually commercial is a lot better than all these little domestic jobs that I'm doing for £15 an hour, and I have to do 5 of them to make enough for a day, and I'm driving around here, there and everywhere and feeling appreciated. So I very quickly learned that the commercial side was something I wanted to go into, but obviously it's a lot more professional. You need to have more health and safety stuff in place, and in those type of situations you do have staff because you kind of got evening work
to clean.
It's easier to manage staff doing it than try and do it all yourself, because then you can only take on one if it's like a big contract. So I was kind of trying to do that, and I didn't have any experience in it. Most of my experience was in domestic, and my standards were very good, like the physical side, but wasn't very kind of business trained at that point. So when I basically rebranded and decided to go into commercial, I wasn't really getting the work in. I was a bit like, oh crap, I didn't realise this is really hard work to get the contracts. Most people are already in a contract and they're happy with who they've got. It's only really they come to you if they're looking. So doing a lot of outreach sometimes doesn't work, and I was a bit like, oh, what am I going to do now? I've just given up all of my domestic clients because I was really hopeful that it would go the same way that it did when I first started. And I invested in a commercial cleaning course, which just taught me so much that I didn't know. You've got to have a more professional approach. At first, I had a pink, sparkly cartoon branding that was perfect for domestic because it attracted that clientele. But that's not kind of what commercial companies are looking for. So I learned so much there. And I just remember going through the course thinking, I would be screwed if I hadn't have paid for this. And since then, I've just, realised that I can learn so much from other people who know more than me. Why would I not pay for that when it's going to help me?
Yeah, it's really good vision to have, I think.
Yeah.
So to finish, what would be your one biggest piece of advice for anyone who's in business at the moment, a little bit of a side hustle, but actually they want to kind of jump in and be like, this is a full-time thing? What piece of advice would you give them?
Difficult, because I think I've got 2. Like we said, the working on yourself is monumental. I think if you are not happy, if you don't know what you want out of life and you're not happy in yourself, you're not going to have that passion, that drive and the motivation to do, not only do the work, but do it properly, or kind of to the standard that you would like to offer as your best self. And also, the investment side of things. I mean, my biggest mistake was that I didn't have an accountant. I went up to 6 figures for about 18 months, didn't realise, didn't even know what VAT was. So when I had an accountant just have a look over my self-assessment and they said, you should have registered for VAT ages ago. So like, oh God. So I had a £17,000 bill from HMRC. And that was a big mistake that I made. So I learnt that the hard way. And back then I just wanted to save money on costs. I thought I'd do it myself. And now I appreciate that actually there's people way more experienced than me who will actually save me a lot of money in the long run. So I put my
headspace as well. Yeah. Like frustration, headspace and all of that.
And I have like a bit, I suppose it's like insurance with anything, isn't it? You think, oh God, I'm paying that money each month. I'm not even getting anything from it. But I know that
it's
peace of mind.
You're
exactly.
ensuring. And with the coach, that's accountability. So you can't give up. You've got to keep proving to yourself that you have done what you said you were going to implement and things like that as well. Then having an accountant who's going to make sure that you don't have HMRC knocking on your door because they're going to make sure you're compliant.
Yeah.
So it feels like a cost, but it's peace of mind.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that make it all those expenses worth it.
Definitely.
I think. Sorry, go on.
I think it's like finding the right people as well, because when I did get an accountant eventually, I think I went through 4 different ones. A lot of them like didn't have qualifications. They were giving me wrong advice and it was costing me more money. It just took me ages to find a good one. So I think it's like finding other businesses that you like working with as well. Definitely with my business coach, I chose her because her approach to things and her way of working and talking and expressing herself feels similar to me and how I would and what I look for in business. There might be, other coaches out there who might be a lot older than me, who do things differently that I wouldn't relate to as much. It wouldn't drive me. I wouldn't be able to kind of see what they've got and what I want and communicate in a way that works for me.
You really need to resonate.
Yeah.
Well, I think speaking to you, I think it just shows that there's so many times where you could have given up, throw the towel in, but you're still so young, so you've got so much ahead of you. But the fact that you haven't given up and that you're still here going and pushing and driving and building business is amazing. So I think you are going to go on to very successful things, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Mate, where can people find you?
So we are on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok as well, pretty much everywhere. Good on social media. So we've got every single platform and our website as well, which is procleancommercials.co.uk.
Amazing. Mate, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Megan.
Thank you.
And to everyone watching, if you enjoyed the conversation, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode.